ambulance that said some person pouring on the food and I'm
Sick all day.
thinking that. And it looks so disgusting, I don't call it.
So, just in case, yeah, it's not catchy.
The worst day. Oh, you mean down the road?
No, I meant tonight. I start morning pains. I don't know if stress is part of it. Not much you can do. You can take antibiotics when you
What's new?
All right, let's go get it.
It's a good, man.
That type of.
Busy. We can't find people to hire.
One.
What's that?
A 1 year, it's a
Yeah,
typo.
there's a typo.
I won't bring it up in public.
We made 2 offers to people and they both turned them down.
What's that?
We made 2 offers to people and they both turned them down.
Really?
I don't know who's promising them what. Recent graduates too, no experience or nothing.
Architects or engineers? Architects?
All right, let's rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Chairman Kennedy,
Here.
Rebecca Anderson,
Here,
John Opitz,
Here.
Anthony Gorski,
Here.
Joseph Keith,
Here.
Stanley J. Kiza,
He has to be excused.
Lawrence Korzewski,
Here.
That's it. Okay, may the 4th be with you. This is a meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Lancaster. We are an advisory and recommending body, not a final decision-making body. The rules of the Planning Board as established by the Town Board allow us to recognize only the petitioners of the various projects and their representatives. Those wishing to make comments should do so in writing. In many cases, there are public hearings to make comments as well. We'll address the minutes from the meeting of April 20th. Any additions, deletions, or comments? I think I did see one typo that I missed the first time around. Yeah, under, Sherry, under determination for, it'd be on the second last page. A motion was made by Chair Conley to table. So first line instead of table. Just a typo. Anything else? Any deletions, comments, additions? All right. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
So moved. I'll second.
Motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Communications list. Let's add a couple on while you're looking these over. We received the letter tonight. So, Sherry, it would be 5.04.15. Letter dated 5/4/22 from Alan Knopf. Expressing opposition to rezone of 4781 Transit Road.
what number transit road, I'm sorry?
So that'd be 5.04.15,
No, the address of transit road.
4781. We also had a letter, and I forgot to bring it, but letter dated, I think, 5/3 from Ed Schiller for Try It. Would that be 5/3
The
or
second letter, yes. Yeah, 5, probably 5-2.
5? All right, 5-2, from Ed Schiller, Town Engineer, with comments regarding Triet Distributing. Are there 2 letters?
Well, I sent one originally noting I didn't have the engineering report, and then I got it after that, so I sent a second letter after I reviewed it.
Okay. All right, any other comments?
We had 2 letters, the first one and then number 12, that were on 2 different projects, but from residents voicing concerns about the project behind them. And I'm wondering if there was anything, we didn't see those letters, at least I didn't see them. I was wondering if there's anything specific in them that this board should be addressing, or if it's things that we're touching on anyway. Do you have any memory of? Usually it's things like lights and traffic and noise and things, and we try and address those items through landscaping and fences and checking the luminary of the lights, and
I think it was the same concerns as the
nothing.
the other residents had from Bell Tower. Is the resident Lawrence Ronald here tonight?
Yeah, right here.
Right. We're talking about your letter, so we're going to break protocol. Could you just express what your concerns were in that letter?
I'm concerned basically with Lucas James about the traffic, the noise, parking lot lighting, and the water drainage and flooding that will be involved with 5827 Broadway, and I believe 5835 he is also rezoning. I'm concerned that I asked the board for their vigilance to make sure that it all gets done the right way, so that we don't have any flooding problems maybe at Bell Tower.
Okay.
Because that's the great, I know flooding insurance costs, for some of the members that are there already, it costs them $10,000 a year. Fortunately, I'm not in an area of the complex where there is flooding, but I don't want to have any problems from Lucas James Development coming down the road and have to pay $10,000 a year for.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and we'll move on to our regular agenda, unless there's something else. Okay, so the first item up is the seeker review for the new retail store, 5807 Broadway. Hi.
Good evening.
All right, before we begin, do you have any comments where if the seeker gets a negative declaration, then we'll go right on to site plan review? So my suggestion is just to stay tuned in case we have a question on the seeker, and then when we go to site plan, you could summarize, okay? All right, so this is an unlisted action. For those of you that aren't aware, that seeker is the environmental review required by the state. We're going to use a short form for this. Number 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No? 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
It was retail, it will be retail,
So
no.
no. 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
I'm going to say no.
I would say no, it's zoned correctly. We do not have a critical environmental area, so we will skip number 4, it's not applicable. 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
I'd like to ask a question of the applicant.
Sure.
You told us before, but please refresh my memory. About how many cars come in per hour? Your store, people come in, they shop, they go. They don't spend hours and hours there. Do you have an approximation about how many?
Yes, so in the peak hour in the morning for this type of store, you would probably see around 15, I believe, new trips, like actually new trips. And the evenings you'd see around 30 new trips in a peak hour.
Thank you. So I would say no.
So small impact maybe, or?
Yeah.
I think there's got to be an impact there of
It's-
some.
Sure, because people will be turning in and out. But if you have any other ideas, I think it would be
Small.
not
that's
small,
fine.
considering the amount of traffic on Broadway.
All right, so we'll call that small impact. 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No.
No.
7, will the proposed action impact existing A, public-private water supplies?
No,
No. B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
no,
8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
no, not in that section.
9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? For example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No, the drainage can be addressed through stormwater, so no.
Okay. 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Okay, can we have a motion for a negative deck or a positive deck based on the
I'll move for negative there.
motion for a negative declaration?
I'll second it.
We have a second
Who seconded?
Joe.
on the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll go to site plan. Okay, Terry, you're up.
Good evening, I'm Tara Bennett with the Broadway Group. We're the developer representing the proposed project at 5805 through 5809 Broadway. When we met last, I was able to update the planning board on all the actions that we had taken after our meeting with the residents at Park Haven condominiums, and all those changes have been fully reflected into our plan set now, and those new plans were submitted to the building department for the planning board. The changes specifically were the location of the privacy fence to a location that the residents preferred. We also upgraded the rear facade of the building so that it would be a more pleasing appearance to the residents that are behind us.
Excuse me. Okay, it's hard to concentrate, sorry.
Put this up here so you can see the two in the audience as well if they're interested. The front and the back facade would be updated. And then the last thing that had been discussed at a previous meeting was the signage. And so I did go back to our client, and they provided signage details that meet the code ordinance. And so those were also submitted, and it would be basically a smaller, lower profile sign to meet the height and the size requirements of the ordinance.
Great. Terrific. Okay.
So as you stated, thank you for the motion for the negative seeker declaration. I would love to have your favorable recommendation to the town board for our site plan, but if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them as best as I can tonight.
Any questions?
None for me. No, I think all of us agree you've gone a long way to make this a more pleasant, upbeat project, rather than the first go-round with the yellow building.
Yes, I'm glad we were able to do these upgrades for the town.
Ed, anything on your end?
Just the approvals from the outside agencies, water, sewer, and DOT. I did see something from county highway, they're okay, so.
They've
Water
made-
arrived as well on May 3rd.
I don't think I got that.
Yeah. I've tried to forward all of the updates within the last 4 or 5 days to all members of the panel.
Yes, we were able to get the letters from Erie County Water Authority confirming connection to the main that's on our side of the street. The Erie County Division of Sewerage Management also made the same statement that we would be able to connect to their system. It's also on our side of the street. And then I believe those were the main 2 utilities. As far as the DOT goes, I have their approval to proceed to stage 3 of the permit process. It's a 3-phase process, but stage 3 they won't actually complete until we have the seeker determination from the town, which I have this evening. But they said at that point, all of their comments have been addressed. It's just a matter of processing the paperwork once they have the seeker declaration.
Okay, so you got, the last correspondence I had from Erie County Sewer was, they said upon approval of the sanitary plans, they would be willing to issue the permit, so you've got the approval of the plans from them?
No, we don't have the approval of the plans. My understanding was that we needed to show proof that we would be able to connect to the system in terms of a service letter, and that's what we've provided.
Okay.
Councilman Mazer, would the town board be okay with a couple approvals pending?
I can't speak for everybody in the town board. I don't recall it, but there's other members of the town board that they had asked to waive these conditions.
I mean, in one case, you can't even get approval until you do the seeker, and we just did that.
Right.
So that's always going to be the case
Sometimes, yes.
in a project like this. So it doesn't make sense to me to string it out any longer.
Me either, in the sense that a lot of times the agencies like to see that the plan, at least the planning board's approved it. So I'd hate to hold this up. I mean, I think you did a great job of copying the Hamburg store and bringing us a better looking building. Because I see them. I mean, now that I'm looking for Dollar Generals, I see them everywhere. And this is such an improvement. And the site itself was a retail use. It wasn't as busy as this is going to be, but it was still a retail use.
Yeah.
So, and it's in a section of Broadway that is not what I would call the historic district. It's a little farther out. So I have no objections to this. So I'd be willing to make a motion to approve it. We can't take comments.
It's not a comment, it's a question about the electric grid fails every year. And now there's more apartments and there's going to be an even bigger job.
Well, that's a separate issue from this. Matt, do you have any comments?
No, all of the comments that were submitted earlier have been satisfied.
Okay. Okay. And you want to make your motion?
I will make a motion that I recommend that the planning board recommend approval of this project.
I'll second.
And so we have a motion and a second. Do we want to have the condition?
We have conditions that prior to getting building permits, that all the approvals will be in place from water, sewer, and electric. That's all you need. And DOT. DOT isn't going to finish that curb cut until they're...
Highway permit.
Highway.
Highway permit and sewer connection is a requirement of the submittal documents for any building permit.
Right. So for this to move on, they need our approval.
Yeah.
We can't even accept the application without those permits in hand. It would be an incomplete application for a building permit. We don't have those.
Applications,
Right.
absolutely. I said it backwards, didn't I?
I think,
Heard it there.
I think
I think I said it
I think
backwards.
Matt's just implying that us passing it with those conditions shouldn't be a big deal because he can't issue a permit unless they have those.
That's right. That's right. I wasn't even gonna put the conditions in. Do we need them? No. No. No.
It's implied in the permit.
It's, okay, it's a clean recommendation then.
Okay.
And we have a second.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks.
Thank you all very much.
We have the seeker review for the proposed car wash, Walden and Central.
Good evening, Anthony Pandolfi with Carmina Wood Design, formerly Carmina Wood Morris. I just want to make that little note of the name change. With me is Tim Boyle. We've been in front of you guys a few times with this project, so I'll try to keep it brief. But we're here today to request a recommendation of a negative declaration pursuant to seeker. The reason why we need this negative declaration is there are a couple of variances that we have requested from the ZBA, and the ZBA cannot act on those variances until a negative declaration is issued. On April 5th, we did submit some updated site and landscape plans that these have been revised based on those meetings with the ZBA, as well as numerous discussions that Tim has had with the adjacent neighbors. We also submitted correspondence from Tim to Harold Ream Jr., that is the neighbor directly to the east, as well as some letters from residents of the other Class C chassis project in Amherst. While we acknowledge that every project is different and that's a different town, we think those letters demonstrate the developer's willingness to work with the adjacent residents and make sure that they are happy with the project. We also submitted some technical specs for a Acoustablock sound paneling that we will be utilizing on the site. I'll get more into that in a little bit. Just a brief summary of the project. It's a 4,000 square foot single tunnel car wash. It includes 15 vacuum spaces. It's a largely subscription-based service. And unlike a Delta Sonic, it doesn't have the convenience store, the gas pumps, the detail shop, all of those other amenities. So it's very, very simple compared to like a Delta Sonic. The project site consists of 0.94 acres, 3620 Walden Avenue and 371 Central Avenue. I think you guys are all familiar with the site now. It's a vacant gas station at the corner on the Walden Avenue parcel. On the Central Avenue parcel, it's a 3-family residential home. So we would combine those parcels and strip those buildings for our development. We are eliminating 4 curb cuts on the Walden Avenue parcel and proposing a single curb cut for ingress and egress on Central Avenue. This came out of numerous discussions with the DOT and Erie County Highway. DOT requested that we have no curb cuts at all on Walden Avenue, so we have adjusted our site plan accordingly. As I mentioned, we are seeking a negative declaration so that we can then go to the ZBA. Hopefully ZBA will grant their the required variances. At that point, we will prepare fully engineered plans in order to come back before you guys for site plan approval as well as a special use permit.
Our attorney's not here tonight. Matt, this is this an unlisted action or a type 1?
It is an unlisted action.
All right, but they submitted long form full EAF, so although it's an unlisted action, we will use the long form. I don't know if we requested the long form or not, but that's generally the way it goes.
Before we start, could you just refresh my memory what variances are required?
Sure. So the variances required will be the building setback. The back portion behind the account office is zoned residential, so we need a setback for that, a setback for the building across from the accountant's office. So 2 building setbacks here, parking setbacks from both the Walden and Central Avenue right away. A variance for the overall lot size, 1 acre is the minimum. We're at 0.94. And
We have a setback against the north property line, so.
Is it 6 variances yet? There was more.
there was a 6 on.
I was thinking it was 8 at first.
We changed the site and cut down on those.
Total of 6.
Okay. Originally, there was 8?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the most significant ones that we got rid of was the stacking. We were able to redesign the stacking lane so that we met the code with the 35-car stacking.
Gotcha.
It is the exit from the tunnel car wash. The parking stacking area also needs a setback. So it's 3 setbacks from the east property line for the building and 1 for the stacking along Walding, stacking along Central, and then the overall lot size. I just want to go over real quick some of the changes we made that came out of our ZBA meeting, as well as discussions with the neighbors. One of them that I mentioned earlier, we are going to install an acoustic block sound paneling, 54 length in feet from the southeast corner that will run along parallel with the accounting office next door. This should drastically reduce the noise. That was one of the biggest concerns from the neighbor, is the noise of the car wash. Another thing we are doing is, rather than prepping the vehicles right at the tunnel entrance, that an automated system will be installed approximately 50 feet into the building. That will reduce the noise as well. Some other changes on the site plan based on Tim's discussion with the neighbor, 377 Central Avenue. We will be installing an 8-foot fence along the northern property line to shield them from headlights, as well as to provide a noise barrier. A couple updates we made to the landscape plan. We will also be providing, this was at the request of the neighbor at 370 Central, 11 spruce trees along the their southern property line to again provide a barrier for their property. Another pretty big change we made is we've added about 73 shrubs and ornamental grasses along both the Central Avenue frontage and Walden Avenue frontage. We did this to kind of mitigate those stacking setbacks that we need variances for, as well as to try and add as much green as possible to this site. If you look at the site now, it's almost entirely paved. So we're trying to, beautify it as much as possible and have as much green and landscaping as we can. Just a couple other seeker-related items I wanted to touch on. First, traffic, which has, in addition to the noise, traffic has been a big one with this project. Obviously, as I mentioned, DOT requested no curb cuts on the Walden. We have a single curb cut on Central Avenue. Once we made this an egress curb cut, Erie County DPW requested a left turn warrant analysis, and SRF Associates amended their traffic study for this, submitted it to Erie County. They are okay with the traffic study, however, they did not want to comment any further until we provide them with the fully engineered plans. One of the other things that they wanted us to do was extend this left turn lane. We are extending it approximately 102 feet all the way back to north of our curb cut. This provides about two stacking spaces to turn left into our site. As I mentioned, this is a lot less intense use than like a Delta Sonic. If you can't make that left immediately, you're not going to get 10 cars backing up to make a left. And it also will alleviate some of the congestion at the intersection, as cars that do want to make a left, they now have a longer turn lane that they could get into rather than it getting stuck and backing up along Central. We did receive a SHPO no impact letter. And in terms of stormwater management, we previously proposed an above ground detention system at the corner. When we do go back to do fully engineered plans, that will be redesigned as an underground detention system. I think that's usually a little better on the eyes, as those above ground detention ponds are not always maintained the way they should be. We are under an acre, so we won't have to comply with DEC requirements, but we will obviously comply with the town's stormwater detention requirements for that underground system. For site lighting, as we do on all of our projects, they will be LED dark sky compliant, and they will be designed so that there won't be any light pollution spilling onto any of our adjacent neighbors. As I mentioned, this parcel back here is vacant. There is the one neighbor there, and there's a 50-foot right-of-way in between this neighbor, but nevertheless, we will make sure that there's no light pollution onto those properties. Noise, as I mentioned the sound paneling we will be utilizing, the additional fencing and landscaping that we've provided to the north, and obviously the car wash will have to comply with the town's noise ordinance. So in conclusion, we are requesting a recommendation for a negative declaration, and if there are any questions, either myself or Tim would be happy to answer them.
All right, we'll get started, and if we have questions, we will check in with you as needed. So I'll do the first statement, and if it's a no, we will go on to the next one. Otherwise, we'll continue to the sub-paragraphs. Impact on land. Proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. Proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site.
Well, the problem is with A, it's the depth of water table is less than 3 feet, and according to their submittal, the water table is at 1.5 feet. So we should go through these, but that doesn't mean the overall answer shouldn't be no.
Correct. I get you.
Okay.
All right, so let's go through it. A, the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to water table is less than 3 feet.
Yes, but it's
So-
no or small.
So it's still no or
It's right.
or small.
And then the rest of them are all no.
So because it is less than 3 feet, wouldn't we say small there and not no?
Well, it's small.
Okay. B, the proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater? No. C, the proposed action may involve construction on land where bedrock is exposed?
No.
D, the proposed action may involve the excavation and removal of more than 1,000 tons of natural material? E, the proposed action may involve construction that continues for more than 1 year or in multiple phases?
No.
No, right. The proposed action may result in increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetation removal?
No.
G, the proposed action is or may be located within a coastal erosion hazard area. Any other impacts under impact on land?
No.
All right, so then overall, no?
Correct.
2, impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site.
No.
3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies. No. 4, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. Is this one we should go through?
I think we should go through it.
Yeah. A, the proposed action may require new water supply wells or create additional demand on supplies from existing water supply wells.
No.
No. B, water supply demand from the proposed action may exceed safe and sustainable withdrawal capacity rate of the local supply or aquifer.
No.
C, the proposed action may allow or result in residential uses in areas without water and sewer services.
No.
No? D, the proposed action may include or require wastewater discharged to groundwater.
No.
E, the proposed action may result in the construction of water supply wells in locations where groundwater is or is suspected to be contaminated. No. F, the proposed action may require the bulk storage of petroleum. No. G, the proposed action may involve the commercial application of pesticides within 100 feet of potable drinking water? No. No. So any other impacts under groundwater?
No.
So overall, no. 5, impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding.
No.
6, impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source.
No.
7, impact on plants and animals. Proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna.
No.
No, nothing there now.
Not there.
8, impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agriculture? No. 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. No. 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. Not that I know, right? 11, impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource. 12, we do not have a critical environmental area. 13, impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems. Let's go through this one. A, projected traffic increase may exceed capacity of existing road network.
Yes.
This is a pretty tight.
Moderate to large?
I think small.
I would say, yeah, it's
Anthony, you have a comment on that, or Tim?
probably going to be.
Sorry, yes, I do.
Okay.
Did you say proposed increase?
Projected traffic increase may exceed capacity of existing road network.
Yeah, I would say absolutely not.
I'm not surprised, but, but can you give me a reason?
Yeah, they average, if I compare it to, it's a low volume car wash. It does about 4,000 car washes a month. There's 35,000 cars a day that go through that intersection.
I'd say it's a drop in an ocean.
It's, on an average day, we would be elated to draw 1% of that traffic off the intersection. We don't drive traffic, we draw traffic from the intersection. We're not bringing traffic to the intersection. Anthony emphasized that, we're not one of the large local, it's a low volume car wash.
All right, I would, we don't have a column that says this, but I would say it's a small to moderate.
I think we can say it's
We-
small if the numbers are accurate.
Okay,
What
so,
about the way the road is, though? When the road goes north, it becomes one lane, and that's approximately where your entrance is. You don't think that's going to create a significant traffic?
The last numbers.
I know what he said
Yep.
before.
So the last numbers that I pulled from their Main and Young's location is that they're averaging 128 washes a day, right? So more importantly, I would say that SRF traffic engineers said, do not think that there's going to be an adverse impact, that New York State DOT and the Erie County Department of Public Works say, no, there's not going to be a significant impact to the traffic. I mean, by the very process, we've been at this, as you know, for quite some time. They really put us through a very diligent process, and we do not have access to Walden Avenue because of that process, and they determined that it was not going to have an adverse impact to the intersection. So it's not,
I don't know, I respectively disagree. I think it's going to be a...
But you're disagreeing with the traffic engineers, with the Department of Transportation, and with the county.
Yeah.
And with the numbers out of our, and
I drive that all the time, and I know that other neighbors are really concerned. The bank can't even operate. There's so much traffic. Can't get in and out.
Yeah, if I can maybe just kind of add to that, I think with Seeker, it's talking about the amount of traffic that this project can generate to this road. I think in terms of that, the impact is very small. Now, if you want to get into the more site plan related items, when we do have to have this reviewed by like this board again for site plan as well as DPW for their approval, that's I think more where that concern comes into play as far as will this be a full ingress egress curb cut, the modifications we have to make to the turn lane, that's all stuff that we're going to have approved during the site plan review.
Number A is projected traffic increase may exceed capacity of existing road network.
And that is no, the road
I disagree.
I think if
there's not a projected traffic increase.
They're not a draw.
I think if that was an increase, they wouldn't be getting approval to put the curb cut in.
Period.
Right.
There's no projected traffic increase. We don't drive traffic. We draw from the existing traffic. That's why it's not much dissimilar to our gas stations. That's why we own a lot of property on high volume intersections. We're looking to draw traffic off of that intersection. It's a common misunderstanding. I had these exact same questions from the Traffic and Safety Board and Planning Board of the town of Amherst, and
I think anybody who drives that street knows.
I think it's an inconvenient intersection as it is, and what does your project add or subtract from that area? I don't know if it's a situation where, like you say, more people are going to come because we're going to go get our car washed, or this is just the traffic that's coming through and I'm going to happen to get a car.
I would say this project isn't going to fix this intersection, but it's not going to make it any worse than it already is.
Well, when you get down to letter C, it says the proposed action will degrade existing transit access. I think that might be more what Mr. Keefe is talking about.
Yeah, I just think...
I think the capacity itself, I don't think it's going to be...
I think with the amount of traffic that already goes through there, this is, like I said, it's like a drop in the ocean.
And I think perhaps when we go through site plan, perhaps we can bring the traffic engineers, engineer that wrote the report for SRF in to speak directly to your points. Because
I think you'd have to.
Yeah. It's a problematic intersection. I understand that. We've done business on that intersection for 20 years, 30 years. I understand it.
All right, are we in agreement then we can put no or small impact? Sherry, I'd like to have a comment there.
For C? Is that what you're talking about?
Pardon me?
I think we're still on A. I think we're still
No.
on A.
For A, well, I think we can just put small impact there, can't we? Or can we put moderate?
No, I think it's small.
All right, let's go on to B. The proposed action may result in the construction of paved parking area for 500 or more vehicles. That's a no. C, the proposed action will degrade existing transit access.
No,
No?
no, it doesn't degrade access at all.
Anybody disagree with that?
It's the ability to get to transportation. It doesn't really apply.
Okay. So it's same with D then, right? The proposed action, D, proposed action will degrade existing pedestrian or bicycle accommodations?
It'll make it harder to ride up the street, but no different than it is now with people coming in and out and not looking. I'd say no.
Members, no or small impact?
I think it's no or small.
No, well, no or small
Okay.
on both of those, but they're one box, so no.
In our minutes, we have been differentiating between no and small, although it's the same column. So for our minutes, do you want to put small there?
It's small.
Small. E, the proposed action may alter the present pattern of movement of people or goods.
No.
Don't think so. So any other impacts there? Impact on transportation. So overall, no then? Impact on energy, number 14. The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy.
Nothing that meets the criteria of the
Yeah.
questions below.
Doesn't exceed any
No.
limits. So no. 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting.
I think
Well,
we should go through that.
Yeah, definitely during construction. A, the proposed action may produce sound above noise levels established by local regulation. So I would say moderate to large impact during construction.
I don't think you have to look at it while it's during construction. I think you need to analyze it based on the business, not during construction.
Right.
Because all construction is noisy.
Yeah, and it's temporary.
Right.
So
I think there's a concern because of the mitigating efforts that they've already proposed. So I don't think we could say no. I think we could say safely small. I wouldn't say it's much more than any other car wash.
I agree, and I think this is a good place to put a note that the applicant has proposed sound mitigation measures. Because one of the ways you get through SEQA is if you identify a problem, then you give it to the applicant to fix it.
Right.
And they're pre-fixing.
Right, and we acknowledge that we have to meet the town's code. We cannot exceed the noise ordinance by more than 5 decibels. And as we discussed many times, our closest neighbor did have that concern. That's where the sound barrier came from. We also agreed to replace the windows in his office building. Go ahead.
you agree that small impact during construction, and then, so Sherry, for our notes, small impact during construction,
Temporary during construction.
temporary, small impact during construction. Applicant has, how'd you say that?
Well, they've acknowledged potential for noise impact through mitigation.
They provided mitigation.
So they provided mitigation,
Mitigation.
sound mitigation, we can put.
Mitigation.
Applicant has provided sound mitigation. B, the proposed action may result in blasting within 1,500 feet of any residence? No. C, the proposed action may result in routine odors for more than 1 hour per day? D, the proposed action may result in light shining onto adjoining properties?
Again, I think it's the same annotations we can make with the sound because they've taken mitigating measures with the trees and the fence and the so forth.
According to the code, they legally can't
Yeah.
pollute adjacent properties with their lighting.
So we can say no and small there, right? E, the proposed action may result in lighting creating sky glow brighter than existing area conditions.
Again, no.
No.
Same reason.
So that's an overall no for that impact. Impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
I would say no.
I wouldn't think so.
No. As I've read through the questions and they don't apply.
Okay.
Unless you have toxic soap.
I was going to say, what?
Are there any phosphates in your soap? Are there any phosphates in your
I'd have to get back to you with that answer.
Because they're not supposed to be, anyway. Check it out, please.
I will.
Consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans.
It's commercial.
It's commercial, it's zoned correctly, right?
I
It's zoned exactly for this use.
I have to say, it's an overall no.
Yeah. Right.
It's an overall what?
No.
It's an overall no.
That it's,
That it is consistent with adopted plans.
It's the right
It's
box.
a- it's a-
It's double negative.
It's a
Sorry.
negative question.
18,
No
consistency
is good.
with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character.
Again, double negative.
It's consistent, whatever box that is.
So is that, no.
The no.
Hang on, I'm still looking through it.
But I'm looking through also, see if there's anything inconsistent here.
Okay, I don't see any monitor lodge there, so you can say no for number 18?
Yeah.
Anybody disagree? Was that the last one? I want to make sure the last time I... All right, we had a few small impacts, but anybody wish to make a motion on this one for either a negative declaration or a positive declaration?
I'll move for a negative deck.
I'll second that.
On the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed, based on what I consider to be significant traffic issues.
Okay, motion carried. So now you go to the ZBA and
Correct.
we'll see how that goes.
We get our variances, we'll be back.
We will be back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck.
I'm curious, look up what's in your soapy materials.
The operators are real environmentalists, and they reclaim 75% of their water, and they have a very sophisticated reclamation system, so I doubt very...
It's glow in the dark soap.
I don't think you're allowed to. I think they.
Driving at night, right?
In the reclamation system,
Yeah,
so I doubt very much there's possibilities.
Well, look, it isn't your
But I'll
same.
get an answer.
Yeah, I'm interested. It isn't the same business, but I keep a close eye on the car wash similar on Transit at Clinton, which is in,
Royal
yeah, I think it's in the town of Elma there. Could be Is it West Seneca? I'm sorry, I'm on the other side of the street. Of course it's West Seneca. And I've tried to go by there on the worst car wash times, which is the first sunny day after a good salting. And they came stacked 3 cars there. And it's a busy intersection, not as bad as this one because there's no Tim Hortons, but it's busy. So, I mean, it's because it just goes through.
It's a good observation. They really are low volume car washes.
They just, I mean, constant cars going through, but no big line up and, you know.
The bottom line, they do in a day what, Beltasonic can do in a day what this car wash does in a month. Volume. That's an accurate perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're back to the Transit Road, 4781 Transit Road. Rezone. We've been asked by the attorney's office to redo this. The reason being that we didn't consider the site plan when we did the seeker. I disagree with that. I don't know how you could do a seeker without considering the site plan. However, they have submitted changes since that time, so I realize there's a fine line here. It's hard to ask the petitioners to do a complete site plan when they don't know if there's going to be a rezone or not. Anybody want to speak before?
Sure.
Mr. Palumbo, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Jeff Palumbo from Barclay Damon. I'm here with Anthony Pandolfi from Carmina Wood Design, or whatever it's going by these days. And my client, George Peppis, is here as well. I agree, Mr. Chairman. I thought it was pretty clear that you did the seeker review for both the rezoning and the site plan, but in an abundance of caution, the town attorney did ask you to re-review the seeker. So you've heard us many times. I don't think we have anything really to add to, unless you have specific questions of us. You all know that the project is the removal of the Forest View restaurant, and in its place an 8,000 square foot multi-use building with apartments and retail on the first floor, and a separate bank structure that measures approximately 2,000 square feet. And in particular, the issue of traffic, as you've been discussing all evening, the traffic projected from this project is less than what is currently entering and exiting the site, so we don't have any issues there. The DOT has indicated that there are no significant impacts, and all the seeker responses that you've received pursuant to your seeker solicitation have also indicated that there are no significant impacts. The typical county issues with respect to the sewer issue, we understand. The lateral issue and the sewer capacity study may be necessary, but again, that's not unusual for projects these days. So with that, I'll sit down or answer any questions you might have relative to the project itself. And just one point, and I think I've made this comment several times, it has been classified as a type 1 action, and I'm not sure that it really is, because I don't know that it meets the thresholds of the type 1, but it really doesn't matter since, as you've indicated with the other project, we submitted a long form EAF, and there has been a coordinated review. Thank you.
So wait, I have a question before we start. Mr. Chairman, you're saying that we don't really need to know what's going on with the site before we can do a seeker?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't think that they needed to have a completed site plan before we do a seeker for a rezone and vote on a rezone.
Okay, but shouldn't we have an understanding of what the project is and what it looks
I
like?
thought we had enough information at that time.
Okay, so hang on a second. We have a packet here that shows the building the way we originally saw it, and we also have a packet here that shows the building rotated 90 degrees. So which exhibit are we supposed to be having in our head as we try to do this seeker?
The 90-degree rotation is...
What?
90-degree rotation, I think, was submitted by the attorneys for...
Yes, for Mr.
That's the opposition.
Exactly.
I think we're looking at this one.
Basically, the original.
Yeah.
This.
Right, that's correct.
Basically the one that was already.
So,
They did submit a more complete site plan because that was what was requested.
Correct.
Right.
So we do have more information to go on.
right,
I was kind of making a general statement of...
Yeah, the site layout is pretty much the same as what you guys already did.
With the addition of the no left turn on the northern driveway.
And to be fair, there was a change after we did seeker that we weren't aware of. We based our determination of the seeker on the fact that there was going to be removal of the north driveway. And then we found out that there would not be. So that could change our determination right now. I don't know.
So the north driveway is still there, and it's right turn and left turn and entrance to the site too, correct?
It's a right turn only, but you can turn in to the project.
Right out only. It's a right
Right,
out.
it's a right out only.
It's right out only. Left and right in.
Okay.
but you can make a left in.
Full end, there is a left turn lane there.
That's right.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, center lane, you mean,
Yes.
Correct.
in that. Yes, there is.
It's right turn out going north.
Correct.
You can enter from either direction.
That's correct.
Okay. Just so I have that clear in my head.
Yep. Thank you.
Want to make a left, you got to go all the way to the right.
Correct.
Actually, you don't.
Well, you could go to the other driveway.
Right, okay.
But that would be even worse. Yes.
Okay.
So this seeker is for the rezone, but we are considering site plan as well as we look at the rezone. All right, so number one, we go through the same process. Impact on land, proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. Any reason to go through all these or not?
No.
I don't think so, it's already a developing park.
Okay. 2, impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site.
No.
3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies.
No.
4, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
No.
Is it a no? 5, impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding.
No.
6, impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. 7, impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna.
No.
8, impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. No. 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. You okay with no there?
No.
Yes.
No?
No.
No, you're not okay with no, or?
Yes, I'm okay.
10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. No. 11, impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource as
No.
designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. No. No CEA. Impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems.
We better go through these.
All right? A, projected traffic increase may exceed capacity of existing road network. You just meant
Small.
small impact or no?
Again, it's not a
not-
draw, it's a capture. People will live above, there'll be some businesses below, but how much business, how much traffic
Right.
are being in
It
All
might,
right.
it might draw a little bit,
A
but it
little
would
bit, but
be, it would be
nothing-
small.
The
It's
bank,
not
the
gonna-
But-
bank will draw.
But does it, again, does it draw more than what's being drawn now?
I would have to say
Think-
no.
I would say it's probably less though.
It's-
Yeah,
it's
so
probably
that's kind of what
less.
they said there. So, can we say no?
Yes.
We'll just check off no or small.
Yeah.
B, the proposed action may result in the construction of paved parking area for 500 or more vehicles.
No.
C, the proposed action will degrade existing transit access.
No.
D, the proposed action will degrade existing pedestrian or bicycle accommodations.
No.
No.
E, the proposed action may alter the present pattern of movement of people or goods.
No.
Okay, so that's an overall no. Impact on energy, number 14, the proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. I'd say no. Impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting. Go through this one or no?
The lighting is not changed from what's already there.
It's already a pretty
It's a
commercial.
restaurant now, and they have parking lot lighting, I can't see what the community does.
Okay, so overall no.
Nothing.
Impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants. No. 17. All right, I think this is the most important paragraph here because this is where it's a rezone. Consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. So why don't we go through this one? The proposed action's land use components may be different from or in sharp contrast to current surrounding land use patterns.
No.
No. It's a no. B, the proposed action will cause the permanent population of the city, town, or village in which the project is located to grow by more than 5%. No. C, the proposed action is inconsistent with local land use plans or zoning regulations.
No.
Well, it's a rezone request. So I think we may make a note here that it's a less intense. Am I correct, Matt?
Correct.
It's a less intense zoning for this area. So based on that, it should have a small impact. Sherry, you got that? Thanks. D, the proposed action is inconsistent with any county plans or other regional land use plans. Say no. E, the proposed action may cause a change in the density of development that is not supported by existing infrastructure or is distant from existing infrastructure. Density of development is supported by existing.
There is existing infrastructure. The only question is, do you have sewer capacity? And if the answer is you have all those things, then the answer to that one is, it is supported. So the answer is no. In other words, they don't have to put in the sewer lines to serve this project, or this isn't sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. If the proposed action is located in an area characterized by low-density development that will require new or expanded public infrastructure. No. G, the proposed action may induce secondary development impacts, residential or commercial development not included in the proposed action.
No.
None that I know of. So overall, no there. With consistency with community character, the proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character.
No.
We okay with overall no there?
I don't know, I
Want to go
think
through
we-
that one?
I think we should go through it
Okay.
because
Number B,
I'm okay with
they're
that.
seeking a variance for height differences.
A, the proposed action may replace or eliminate existing facilities, structures, or areas of historic importance to the community.
oh no.
B, the proposed action may create a demand for additional community services.
There's
Probably a small impact there.
There's always a small
Yeah.
increase.
C, the proposed action may displace affordable or low-income housing in an area where there is shortage of such housing.
No.
Think so? D, the proposed action may interfere with the use or enjoyment of officially recognized or designated public resources. No. E, the proposed action is inconsistent with the predominant architectural scale and character.
Well, here's your chance. What do you think? 3 stories, everything else around is what?
It's single story, except for the apartments that are 2-story.
Did you go for the variance already, or?
We are on the May 12th agenda.
Okay. I remember, I thought did they table it, or?
No.
It never was on?
No.
Okay. So, I think we should make note of that, variance required for the height of the building. And then what do we put, no or small for impact?
We don't know.
We don't know, it depends on, so I would say possibly a moderate impact if the variance goes through.
Yeah,
Okay with that?
variance goes through, it's going to be a
Variance is
two-story building.
If they don't get the variance, it kills the third story.
They'll have to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
If relief is granted, then there's no impact, correct?
Right.
Correct. Did you get that? If relief is granted by the zoning board of appeals on the height, then there is no impact. Which, it's not us having an impact, it's no impact on the seeker review. So, if relief is not granted for the height, then they have to come back with a revised plan. Because you can't build it if you don't get relief, am I correct?
Correct.
You can't build that project.
Right, that's what I mean. This, what you submitted before, 3 stories. So if you did not get relief from zoning board of appeals for the height, this goes out the window and you try again.
Correct.
All right. So what are we putting there? No or small? And with a note, Sherry, did you get that note?
I put variance required for the height of the building if relief is granted by zoning board of
Very good.
Correct.
Okay. So F, proposed action is inconsistent with the character of the existing natural landscape.
No, it's all
It's consistent, there is no natural landscape.
Okay. So, can we have a motion? This is a motion on the seeker. Positive declaration or negative declaration, based on our answers
On the zoning.
on the seeker for the rezone. Anybody want to make a motion? Anybody wants to make that?
I actually don't mind this project. I've been thinking about this. I spent a lot of time on this one and the Dollar General today. I spent a lot of time on this. And I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of the rezone. There's a lot of worse things that could go on. And I was a little bit disappointed when we recognized that we weren't getting the last driveway closed off, and that's what I based my kind of opinion on before, that at least we're having some impact on the transit access plan. But essentially, there's no change to the transit access plan here. So it doesn't give us anything better, but it's not going to be worse either. I see it as a no impact on traffic.
All right, thank you for your comments, but point of order, right now, so you motion to recommend
I'm making a motion to recommend
negative declaration.
negative deck on the seeker. Thank you.
All right, do we have a second
I'll second it.
on the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeker's carried. All right, now we go to the rezone review. So
No,
Yes.
we actually, so we just did the
Yeah.
seeker for rezone, now we have to do the actually approve or disapprove of the rezone itself.
gotcha.
So there is a fine line there.
Thank you.
Anything you want to add before we?
The only thing I wanted to add is what you touched upon, the comprehensive plan. And when you review the comprehensive plan, again, I know you've heard this from me several times, but I think it bears repeating. When you look at the comprehensive plan, it does support this type of development. And when the town was engaging in the new zoning districts, multifamily, multi-use was one of the things that was important. That was one of the visions that the town had for heavily trafficked areas. And the comprehensive plan clearly says that the comprehensive plan recommends the town consider zoning changes to encourage multifamily housing along public transit corridors and near available services. This is right in compliance with what the town's vision was and is pursuant to the comprehensive plan. So we think that this is a tremendous asset, and it does change the traffic patterns somewhat, Rebecca, in that we are limiting it to the right turn only and eliminating that left turn, so it does increase, or it doesn't improve the traffic circulation somewhat. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, comments? Mr. Schiller, anything? Go ahead. Matt? Councilman Mazer?
I have one comment.
Okay.
I still don't think that it's a benefit to the town to rezone this property.
So you're saying you disagree with Mr. Palumbo's comments there, too? Because that's pretty much what you're saying it is consistent with the comprehensive plan?
Yes, and I'm saying it's a benefit to the town in producing this multi-million-dollar facility as opposed to the restaurant that's, quite frankly, not in the best of shape and not sustaining the same business that it has in the past.
I do think mixed-use facilities like this are kind of the trend that we're going in, and a lot of communities are heading that way. I kind of understand where Tony's coming from, but I can see it both ways, so I'm kind of on the fence about it. But because we're going to a less intensive zone, I feel like we're not doing anything radical here. Kind of thinking out loud right now, but if anybody has any comments on that, anything else?
No.
I have a question I think might have been answered in the last, so I'm sorry, but if we weren't rezoning and the proposal was just to build a 3-story restaurant in the same spot, would that need to come to us, or that would need a meeting as well?
It wouldn't need a rezone, it would just need a site plan
A site plan approval?
review.
So it would still need the exact
If it was
same-
if it was a different project that was already there, right?
The question was a 3-story restaurant?
If they were gonna just,
Site plan review.
okay. So
But not a rezone.
But not a rezone,
Yeah.
okay.
Purpose of the rezone, I understand, is to allow the residential occupancies.
Right.
Retail on the bottom, apartments on the next two.
All day long, it's like, all
Anything from the attorney's office?
No comments on that.
Okay. All right, can we have a motion? Anybody interested in making a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve the reason.
Okay. So recommending approval of the rezone. Second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. On the question, any more comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carried. Before we move on to site plan, I have a question for the attorney's office. Now, they have not received a variance for their height. And previously tonight,
Is that the only variance required, or is there others?
There are actually 3. There's a setback to the loading docks, and loading area rather, and the separation between the buildings is not what it should be, so that's another variance.
previously tonight, we bypassed the site plan for the car wash because they haven't received their variances yet. So it doesn't seem to be consistent. With this one, they're asking us to do site plan before the variance. It seems to me that we should know beforehand whether they accepted that variance or not.
My recommendation would be to table the recommendation. I would certainly review the site plan, table the recommendation until the May 18th meeting. They are on the agenda for the May 12th zoning board of appeals meeting to render their decision, because we redid seeker tonight specifically for the site plan.
Right.
So I think that was the conundrum they faced at the last zoning board here.
All right, I'd be comfortable with that.
Otherwise, you'd be voting on the site plan that there are still questions on whether they have approval
Right.
for
That would be
zoning.
non-compliant with the zoning code. So the proper
Okay with that?
avenue is after your question.
I know it's been a long process, but we want to do it right.
We get it. We understand.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to table. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Will this specifically be to the 18th?
I always hesitate to do that because I've been scolded before when I...
Well, the zoning board, I mean, they're gonna render a decision. They can render.
It's okay with me to go to the 18th. So let's say we'll move to, table to the 18th, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Do we have a second? Did I have a second?
Second. I did.
Second, okay. So on the question, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Torn on this project, I gotta tell you, that
Okay.
I would have no issue with this if it was two-story.
My wife is like, what do you do?
and I haven't voted. Site plan.
Okay, Broadway and Bowen Development. Lucas here? There you are. Excuse me, Lucas, I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Oh, did you? Okay, I didn't see it.
That's what you were driving, bro.
Yeah, that one. I've been looking at it. Wait.
Every once in a while, we get clients that we have to write out their report, but
That's a way. There's no quick way back.
oh, it's not even that. I should have been on my way home by the latest, and I honestly,
Okay, so we have site plan review for Broadway and Bowen.
it was bad. So
They didn't take down the structure because
Lucas James.
by keeping the structure,
emailed
they were able to,
Tom.
they came with.
I think I'm 27, but I didn't hear back from him, so I'm like, oh no. I started okay then.
So Lucas, if you could just sum up, since we last saw you, if there have been any changes and what's been done to finalize this process?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so first off, we did make the changes that you guys recommended. We noted the taller fence rather than a 6-foot, going with a 8-foot fence that's noted in the plan now. What else was there? There was I think the legal was the main reason that we ended up tabling it. So we do have a signed, executed stormwater agreement. I gave it to Tom Fowler himself yesterday and spoke with him. So that's all set. And the town did review the encroachment agreement as well. And they made a couple recommendations that they wanted to see changed. I sent those recommendations to United Refining, the owner of that property. It's with their legal department. They're going to get back to me. But the changes related to them having the ability to cancel the agreement, which would leave me stuck without a dumpster spot. That was the town's concern. That was the only concern the town had, in my understanding. So but we have an alternate dumpster spot, like I mentioned last meeting, so we actually put that on the plan. So if they ever do cancel that agreement, so hopefully they'll make the changes to the encroachment agreement. I don't know if they will, though. To be honest, I doubt they will, because if I owned it, I wouldn't make those changes. I would want to be able to back out of that myself, so I don't see why they would make the changes. There's no incentive for them to, but I'm hoping they do. We'll see. But it really doesn't matter if they do or not, because we have an alternate dumpster location marked on the plan with room in the corner of my property, so that should be resolved. What else? We've made some progress with the other the utilities. We've spoken to all the utilities, the DPW, the sewer, water, septic, all of it. And we've gotten positive reviews from all of them. We don't have final approvals on any of them. It takes more time, but we've been on them, and we have made progress on almost all of them. The DOT, for example, we did get responses back from them. The main thing that really the only main thing that they wanted changed was they wanted the entrance exit out onto Boeing to be changed to be a right only in and right only out. So I didn't see that change coming, but I did agree to it, and we have already changed the plan, and I sent it to Matt earlier today. It was this afternoon. So basically, we added a raised concrete section or marking, whichever they need to happen there, to make people, when they're exiting, only be able to turn right, and when they're entering, only be able to turn right into it, which should help traffic flow a little bit. But I don't think the DOT is going to give on that, so I agreed to it, and we already made the changes. So they seem to be good now.
That's on Boeing, though, right?
That's the Boeing, yeah.
So even though Bowen's a county road, because of the intersection, is the,
Because it's cool, but you're saying, so if somebody wants to go south on Bowen, they have to go out to Broadway first.
Yeah.
To the light. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't expect that change either, to be honest, and, but
yeah, and I was hoping for a no left on
Broadway.
coming out of Broadway.
Right.
They just forced it. They just forced they left.
Yeah, so it doesn't,
But it is up to them, it is, I don't think I have a choice, is my understanding. But I can make that argument, I haven't made it yet.
yeah, I mean, I see how it would help the situation somewhat, but it also,
I think the reason is because Broadway has 2 lanes on, going, east, and then, the turning lane. So there's extra lanes there. But on Bowen, it sometimes gets backed up, and it's only 2 lanes, So I think that's the reason for it. You're turning left, you could, what if it's backed up there? You can't turn left, and it'll hold up all the traffic. So,
yeah.
So I can see the reasoning behind what they're saying, but I also see that what you're saying too, and I agree. So, anyway.
Their intersection.
I think that's really their jurisdiction. It's up to them.
So that would eliminate the left only on going out of Broadway?
That would eliminate just turning left out of the development, and it would eliminate turning left into the development as well. From Bowen.
It would force a left turn on.
No, but I'm saying from Broadway.
Going on to Broadway, they would go both ways.
They can go both ways on Broadway.
Right.
In and out.
Yes, from the entrance that's further away from the intersection.
I don't know if
We're already closing off the closer one.
I question whether it makes it better or not.
Is there a way we can get this information in writing from both of the transportation departments?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
there's a huge conflict in the center lane on Broadway heading east, turning into Edgewater Apartments, because you have the westbound moving into the center lane to make a left-hand turn on Broadway. There's conflict already there, and then they have to early exit to your property left. And I'm not a traffic engineer, I'm just a code guy. Makes no sense at all. I would get that writing from those people and
Yeah, so
get it to the parties as early as possibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to add something, it might be a good time. It's really not directly related to this project, but I talked to Ed about this, I talked to Lucas, and when you're traveling west on Broadway, that light turns green, not only for the left turn, but for going straight ahead. And when you're on the other side, you look up and it's red. I've come out of Frank's there, and you look and it's red, or even when you're going into Frank's, it's a red light, and these cars are coming 50 miles an hour there. So I talked to Ed about this, and I think we need to approach the DOT. In your situations, it's a little different, but it makes an already tough situation even worse, I think.
Yeah, it's their road, so but I'm happy to fight that, for sure. But either way, I'm stuck doing what they tell me, But we'll fight it,
The problem is, I don't know if we want to make a decision before we finalize that.
May I ask you a question, please?
Sorry, Tom, we don't accept. I'll try to ask the questions for you, all right? I'm going to go through your list here.
Well, I just want to make a point too.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
We do need the encroachment agreement, a new one on file. So I know that you had the one signed with the changes. We need something other than what you have now on file with us.
What do you mean?
The encroachment agreement, you got the one with the red line changes that need to be made to it from.
Yeah, the changes you guys recommended, that you wanted to see, I sent that over to United Refining, and it's in their legal
So it's still with their lawyer right now? You're waiting
Yeah,
on
it's
that?
still with their legal department, yeah.
Okay, I know you said you
But
might
I
not
explained-
need that, but we're gonna need, the one that we have right now, we can't have the plan approved.
So I think he's going ahead with the idea that we're not going to wait on that.
Well, right, because the main issue with that is I'm stuck, if they revoke the agreement, which you guys don't, and I don't want them to either, of course, if they revoke it, then where do I put the dumpster? I'm stuck, and that's a problem for the project. But it's not actually a problem because we put right on the plan the secondary dumpster location. So if they revoke it, we have a secondary dumpster location we can easily move it to, and it's not a problem. So, because I can't, and you can't, force them to change that encroachment agreement, unfortunately.
Is that what you were talking about when you said you have a different plan that wouldn't require the use of the space?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, I have the plan here. If you want to review it, you can. But it just shows the alternate dumpster location so that we don't need their parking,
Okay.
we don't need their dumpster location with this plan. We have a secondary for both.
Okay.
So, of course, if we want to use their property, it makes more sense to, but if we can't, if they revoke it, worst case scenario, we don't need it.
I have a question that's related to that.
Not yet.
Okay.
Did your previous plan that we saw, didn't it also have parking on their property?
Yeah,
As
yeah,
well
absolutely.
as the dumpster?
Yeah, that's what we just talked about, parking and dumpster, yeah.
Okay, so, well, you didn't say anything about the parking. So my question to Matt is, without them using that adjacent property, Matt, are they still compliant with parking requirements?
One moment, please.
Pardon me?
One moment, please.
Okay, sorry.
He's adding it up.
I actually printed that document moments before the start of this meeting. It arrived in my email at about 3 o'clock today.
Okay.
There was no way I was even going to get it opening. I knew that something came, so if you don't mind.
While you look that up, may I ask a question? Or do you want?
Yeah, I think he wants time, so yeah.
Okay. The agreement that you have proposed to them is so that you can have that use for perpetuity? Like, you can just always have it, they can't cancel your...
That's one of the changes that they wanted, yes.
That's what you proposed to them, though?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then what is it currently?
It's in perpetuity, but they have the right to, they have the option right in it to
At
cancel
any
it
time.
if they decide they need to.
Okay.
You know? Which honestly, if I own the property, I would want that option too.
No, I understand that.
So I can't see why they would change it. I don't
Would it
think they
require
will.
any efforts by you to move to the secondary site, should this happen overnight?
No, it's very simple. We could pick up the dumpster, move it, put temporary
No
fencing up.
construction, okay.
It's not a construction thing. It's a good question though.
Thanks.
But
So you have two different site plans that you'd be asking the board to approve one of them?
no, it's the same, but there's marked
Just
in there the
alternate.
secondary, yeah,
Okay.
exactly, alternate is what it says, alternate dumpster location if it becomes needed due to encroachment agreement.
And I think Tony's asking about the parking.
Correct. Without the parking on the adjacent lot and without that dumpster pad, the changes that were proposed provide enough parking spaces for the building. They had 15 additional spaces over what was required. Minus 7 leaves 8 additional spaces over what's required. And without that agreement, we would have to go to the Plan B, which, anyways.
So they don't need any parking variances or anything, they still meet,
Well, no, they wouldn't.
they're still
need any
compliant.
variances if they were to confine their project on their property.
Got it, good, that's all I wanted to make sure of.
Yeah. So if we're going to make any decisions tonight, we have to look at Plan B basically, because the encroachment agreement has not been finalized. So I think that's the way we have to look at it. And
Well, the one that's in place is, the town just doesn't like it because they can cancel it. But it is,
But we don't
it
wanna-
is executed though, you know?
The parking agreement between the two properties is not a permanent standing agreement. That's the issue at hand. It doesn't run with the land after ownership transfers and everything is associated.
But
I don't think
it is bonus space, essentially.
Bonus space, there's additional space, yes.
Okay.
I had to get that new agreement when I bought the land, you know, so it was the same agreement they had with Desiderios for the last 50 years or whatever it was, you know.
all right, question?
I would say the thing that kind of surprised me was the restrictions on Boeing Road. Yeah, you're saying it would be a right in coming northbound, and then a right out on Bowen only.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so you could not come up Bowen, put the coffee shop, and then go back down Bowen. You'd have to come out to Broadway and come around the corner.
Yeah, through the light, yep.
Nor could you turn off of Broadway onto Bowen and turn into it.
Pardon?
Nor could you come off Broadway, turn south on Bowen,
And make a
and
left-hand
turn
turn.
in. You're not allowing that.
Because traffic backs up at that light in the mornings especially. And it breaks into the left hand going westbound or right hand going eastbound. And there's no straight, obviously, it's a T intersection. And then traffic coming down cannot come in and turn in. So if someone is going west on Broadway, they have to make the left into your drive-through
On Broadway.
on Broadway.
Go all the way around the building.
Okay. Well, that doesn't upset me too much, because there is a place to turn left. However, that time of day, how much traffic is turning into the apartments going eastbound is not as much as what's coming out. In the mornings when your coffee shop will be the busiest. Traffic will be coming out of the apartments more likely.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. I'm just trying to get this straight in my head. because-
I think it hurts Broadway traffic a little bit, but it helps Bowen traffic a little bit, is how I see it. I don't love it. I would prefer they not require it, and I'm happy to fight them on it. But either way, I don't have the ultimate say on it, you know?
I think if there was any changes made to Bowen Road, you could petition to have that changed. In other words, should there for any, they don't have enough space to put an extra lane, so it's two and then one southbound, and there's no other room there. But
Yeah, well, they made it work for a long time at Desiderios with 3 entrances, you know, for quite some time. It's not the first time this property was developed, of course.
Any other comments?
I think it's still better than how Desiderios was set up, way better, because we moved that entrance exit much further away from the intersection. We've eliminated the other, people were turning left out of that closed entrance before, which was terrible, and yet it was allowed for, what, 40 years, 50 years? So,
right through the
you
middle
know,
of
this
the
is much,
intersection.
yeah, right? So this plan is way better than what it was existing situation for many, many years.
I'll add a clarification to that, not by any permit that was issued by the town.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to make it seem like you're responsible.
Could you go over again, how are you putting up a buffer for the residents in Bell Tower? Fencing and so on? Do you have enough room?
Yeah, there's enough room. It's on my property currently. It's right at the edge, so it actually works out pretty well, the location of it. And the fence that's there now is in really bad shape, as you probably have all seen. It's falling apart, has been for a long time. So we're going to, completely rebuild that. So it'll be about 2 foot taller and brand new with no holes in it and no gaps in it. And so I think it'll be greatly appreciated and improve the visual for them quite a bit.
Okay, I know we're being a little redundant, but
No, it's okay.
delivery trucks, when will they be coming in?
I don't think I can accurately state that at this point. During business hours, but I just don't know. We don't even have.
All right, so we can safely say that it'll be in business hours. By business hours, you mean between?
7 typically and 5 usually.
So we don't want it too early or too late.
Yeah.
Lighting, you've addressed the lighting, proximity to the residential units.
Yeah, it's within the code that's specified for that overlay district. It has the shields on it.
You've already gotten your variances from regarding setbacks?
Yeah, we got those 2 variants for parking setback and for the blacktop pre-existing there. So that was approved about a month ago. So I think we're set up pretty well to get it approved. I know we kicked it the can down the road a couple times. I'm hoping we don't do it again.
Mr. Schiller, anything?
No, just, just the outside agencies, he says they're all in process.
Okay. Matt, anything else?
Zoning standpoint, no.
Good. It seems like you want to say more there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit, I don't know, a little bit surprised at the traffic changes.
Yeah,
And again,
I think we are too, but so is Lucas.
I am too, yeah.
I received a only C, what is it, a one-page PDF of the overall site plan showing those changes with some red lines. I'm going to email it to you guys right now. I would expect 12 hard copies of whatever changes that are necessary with the design, so that is going to be, it's either Plan B or Plan A, pending the legal documentation. A little bit, I don't know how you approve something. If I get the letter, we're doing this one. If I don't get the letter, I'm doing that one. Which one are we looking at? All right, and one more time. And I'm sorry if I sound redundant, broken record. At the beginning of the application process, I requested the legal documentation that authorizes that encroachment, the stormwater, all of that stuff by now should have been already hammered out, done, filed, ready to go. Based on all those other delays, I mean, we've been at this for, what, 4 months, 5 months? Now we need to minimize the legal descriptions of the legal portion of the process, but in 4 or 5 months, I think good attorneys can put together a document ready to file at any time.
Mr. Mazur, any comments?
I would just wait on the traffic stuff.
Yeah, so, sorry, Lucas, I know it seems like you're getting a runaround, but we want to do this right. And we can't present it to the town board until it's cleaned up, and, because they won't even act on it. Am I correct?
We haven't even, yeah, I'm not planning on going to the town board yet, until we already went over that last time too. We're not going in front of the town board until all of the utilities have their approvals, you know what I mean? But a couple of them, are still, like I said before, we try to tell them, look, they want these approvals before the planning board approves it, but they're like, well, that doesn't make sense, that's not how it usually is. But anyway, I don't want to get into that too much, but I feel I'm comfortable with the legal situation, because either way, it passes, either way, option A or B, with the dumpster over there or not, either way, it's within the town code, it passes, you know what I mean? And
I'm okay with that, but I'm worried about the traffic stuff here.
Yeah, but I don't think we have a lot of control. I mean, I'm happy to try and set up a meeting between Ed and Matt, myself, and the DOT. I would love to. And just to clarify too, so I don't have so they gave me what's his name, John Billiter or something like that, gave me he sent me the informal comments, and he kind of spoke to me frankly about it, but I don't have the official comments yet, which I'm happy to send, but I don't want to send the unofficial ones. I really shouldn't do that, you know what I mean? So I would say we can easily wait a couple days for that, but either way, that will be rectified before the town board approves it, and I don't have a choice in it, and I don't know how much sway the town has either. Are you able to go to the DOT and make them change things? Are you guys able to?
Building and zoning officer has nothing to do with traffic engineering. To me, it's squirrely as it is. And as I said, this board that has to make these recommendations based on the information given, they don't have any information. That's why you're requesting a copy of that communication, a copy of your updated plan, what you're going to do based on your legal access to the site next door or not, so that you guys know what they're recommending. Because once that recommendation is made and brought in front of the town board, that's the plan that's going to be approved. It's
Yeah, but it does accommodate for both situations. I mean, I was a little frustrated with the legal end too, because it was with legal for months, and I just got the comments back on the encroachment agreement late last week, Thursday. So, I mean, it's frustrating for me, trust me. Months it's been. But we have it now, and it's rectified, and now we have a passable, approvable plan, so I would love to vote on it and move on.
And is it feasible to set up a meeting with DOT?
Yeah, you can, but, I mean, it is their intersection, so I mean, we can jump up and down and scream and yell all we want.
I can understand why they want to protect the traffic in Bowen. I can, and I can understand if you're going to swell one of the roads, it's going to be Broadway, because it's just larger, it accommodates more, it's not optimal, but I kind of get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I talked, the town would be better off approaching them about the signal and how that operates, which is kind of separate from this development.
Yeah.
But it may help this development down the road.
Members, what's your
My
pleasure?
argument is not with Route 20. My concern is Bowen. Bowen's a county road, am I correct?
Correct, but the DOT has jurisdiction.
At the intersection.
Well, so many feet away. That's the issue.
Are they the ones,
They're the ones calling for these changes, right?
Yes,
DOT's calling
yeah,
for
it's
the
DOT.
change
Yeah.
that you're Bowen at?
What they say goes, so us waiting doesn't.
But on the other hand, the way the light is now, you were speaking about how it turns green westbound with a green arrow in the straight through. What that does when you're at your property, which I have been, because I'm trying to figure this site out, traffic going eastbound has a red light. That means you have time
To get out of
to
your
get
site.
out. So that's why I don't like to mess with that light. Now, if I was at Frank's, it's different because traffic's coming at you. But from your situation, I would not want to mess with your light because if I'm in the
That's going to give the people the opportunity to turn
To make the
left.
left.
Because the people are away and not stacked at the light because they're going before
Yeah.
these people are going.
Yep.
I would be okay with a left turn only, but not the green straight through. I think that might be more what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
but that's
earlier.
gonna leave the cars stacked up. So
Yeah.
his people would not be able to get out to turn left.
Right.
Will they be in the right?
They could only turn into the left turn lane. They wouldn't be able to move all the way over
Correct.
through
Yeah.
lanes.
There's no
Which
good
is
answer.
accurate.
Well, turning into the left turn lane though, sometimes people kind of just wait.
Oh, yeah.
And they're far enough away from the intersection that someone wanting to get ahead of them, and if they had the right signal on, hey, I want to get over in the other lane, people do come around. So my concern is not as much as it would be if the light was altered. Now, if I was on the other side of the intersection, I could see your point. Coming out of Frank's is scary.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a curve there also.
Yeah. But
And going in also because you have and going into the bank, you're a little further down, not the bank, but that street there, whatever that street's called. You look up and Grambo, you see a red light, you think, oh, okay, I'm okay to turn, and these cars are coming at 50 miles an hour.
So if we don't vote on it tonight, if we
So if you
table
were
it,
to come back the 18th, then that's still.
we could potentially vote on it in 2 weeks.
Yes, that would,
You know.
yeah.
right.
If we do vote on it tonight, the town board's not gonna vote on it likely at their next meeting because it sounds like they might not have all the legal descriptions anyways.
That won't take long.
Right now, what you'd be approving is a plan that we need an encroachment agreement in place for. So you can't approve the plan that he has, even though I understand there's a backup option, but you guys would be approving the plan as it is right now with the use of that space, and what we need in the file is the encroachment agreement,
Well,
so.
we do have it, though. It's fully executed by them and us. We have the fully executed one. You don't
Just
like
not
it.
approved by the town for the project, so.
Right, you
yeah,
guys
we're
don't
saying
like the
that.
wording in it, but it is already in place. It's already active. We're allowed to use that area as parking right now. You know what I mean?
Not approved by the town for filing.
Right, it's just approved by the owner and the,
By you guys,
people
yeah.
trying to use it, yes.
Yeah, so
And we don't have an altered or an amended site plan change.
But I don't think they're gonna change it, in all honesty.
Well, we don't
think
know,
they
so,
will.
I mean, if they don't, then that's, obviously, we'll stick with the plan you have and the.
Right, we'll stick
vote
with
on
the
that
plan we
one.
have, exactly, which is already.
But until we know if they're gonna change it, I don't think that you guys can vote on the project.
All right, so to answer your question, Tony, and I think you're getting right to cutting to the chase here. I think we either need a Plan A or Plan B. And that's what we got to vote on. So we need to wait to see if that,
I would say wait until the 18th, because hopefully by then we know where it's gonna go, and then you know what you're voting
then
on.
we know what we're voting on.
either way, if you make a recommendation, I don't see the town board approving it at their next meeting, so,
Yeah, and they're meeting before us, aren't they?
yeah,
Actually,
the 6th, that's
16th, so that,
No,
Plus, he has to change the entrance design. The plan we have isn't accurate if DOT's making those changes.
Yeah, we don't
So
have
regardless
anything.
of what happens, documentation needs to be submitted to the building department for disbursement at least the Thursday before the 18th. That's going to May 11th or May 12th. That documentation has to be arrived here at town for disbursement for you to review, for engineering to comment on. It has to be here. Tonight, we don't have anything that could be even voted on because Plan A does not have an executed agreement that's approved by the town board, and Plan B is not in front of you.
Yeah, we haven't seen Plan B. We don't know what Plan B is.
and the documentation also, you said something about the traffic documentation too? Yeah.
It would be beneficial to have those comments from DOT that direct the applicant to make those changes to that driveway like that.
You know what else would be nice, Luke? Maybe I'm missing something, but, I see drawings and everything. Do you have an actual rendering of what the place would look like?
Yeah, we went over this last time. We submitted all of the elevations. The town has it. They've had it for months.
He had them.
Do we have a picture?
He had them.
You had one in there that shows it's in black and white, but you had one in your file. I just-
Right there.
This?
Right there.
Okay, there's nothing more than that though, right? No, like we had a little prettier
No.
one with the
Right.
Transit Road there. Okay.
no, Lucas, the plan you're proposing today, right now, includes, it's written in the contingency that they pull their agreement that's not filed with us, with the town, correct? There's drawings, placements, removing.
Yeah, as
So
as
your
the
plan
preferred
does
spot.
contain what we're talking about.
Yeah, it
correct?
does, yeah.
And the other thing on the plan, though, there are alterations that need to be made for these new traffics, like as far as like curves, like.
Yeah, so it's just the arrows and showing the signs for directing traffic to turn right only and not turn left. And then, a little triangle-shaped area that tries to prevent people from turning left in and left out. And that's already been made, but like I said earlier, it was just sent to Matt, earlier this afternoon. I have it here if anyone wants to see it. But it sounds like you guys aren't gonna want to vote on it again tonight. So, which doesn't make sense to me, but I understand, and so I do what I'm told. So thank you for the effort. But anything else I can answer for anyone? Anything else?
Well, when can we expect to receive a copy of Plan B, as it were?
Well, it's the exact same plan. It just has in bullet point,
You
highlighted
need
secondary
to
dumpster
produce a
location.
plan. and-
Right. We already submitted it. Yeah.
But it needs to be gotten to us.
No problem. No problem. Happy to do it.
Anything else?
So anything else I can help with
Traffic
while I'm here?
documentation for the encroachment agreement and stormwater,
Stormwater's good.
we're all good with that? And that's all, I guess, right?
The DOT, something written from the DOT stating,
Documentation, traffic documentation.
dictating actually on a piece of paper for the file.
Yeah,
Okay.
Whatever they sent you. So we
Okay.
need the table.
Okay, so I'm going to
All right,
move the table to May 18th. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you, Lucas. What's next? Bradley Drive. Hi, Mike.
Good evening.
That is you, right?
It is me.
With the-
This was actually a challenge for charity. So made some money for juvenile diabetes research.
I thought you were here for the playoffs,
I've got 4 sons, and they've been all had beards, and they've been bugging me for years to grow one.
There you go.
So we turned it into a challenge to raise some money.
I don't know if you want to start or if I want to start, but
I could, just
Go
a
ahead.
real quick introduction. Again, for the record, my name is Michael Metzger with Metzger Civil Engineering, 8245 Sheridan Drive, Williamsville, New York. We're here tonight to seek approval to build one single-family home, and it's on an existing compliant lot. The lot is 3.3 acres in size, which is obviously much larger than the minimum required in the R1 zoning, which is where this resides, which, as you know, is 9,375 square feet, so we're at 3.3 acres. Minimum lot width is 75 feet. We've got 96 feet. We've got public sewer and water available out in front for the lot, and this would be in full compliance with the New York State Fire Code. Honestly, I'm not quite sure why we're here for an approval, but having said that, we are requesting site plan approval as requested of us for the project. Now, regarding seeker, again, basically this is for the construction of a single-family home, which is under seeker a type 2 action. So should you decide to take action on this tonight, it appears as if you would be able to do so because of if you decided that it was a type 2 action. Again, construction of a single-family home.
I'm going to interrupt at this point.
Sure.
It's my understanding that because this is not an approved lot, that doesn't fall under type 2, and at least this is what I've been told, and therefore it would be required to go through seeker as an unlisted action and have to go through the process. Now, I think our attorney's office confirmed that our code enforcement officer deemed as this project as such. It's not a regular single-family home. Matt, I don't know if you want to add more to what I just said, but it's not an approved lot by the town, and therefore that it falls under a different category. I was going to suggest that we have Chuck Malcolm take a look at this, being an expert on this type of thing, and maybe that would, you know, if he also confirms what I just said, then we know where to go. Because I'm a little nervous or anxious about moving forward and then finding out that we shouldn't have done it that way.
I can understand that. We would support that decision.
Members, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but
How did this parcel get here?
I'll add some comments from.
Thank you. It's left over.
From parcel. The parcel definitely is in a residential district. These are, single families as of right uses. The parcel of land is an undeveloped piece of land. It's being referred to somehow as an approved compliant building lot on a town road. It was the opinion based on past experiences of identical projects that there needs to be some sort of review on this for town road termination, because again, this was an undeveloped parcel. It was split at one point and joined with the northerly parcel to create the map cover for Blackstone subdivision. The utilities that were brought to the site were done within the last maybe 4 to 5 months prior to any town board recommendation and by administrative permitting by Erie County Sewer. Is that sewer and water main?
Yeah.
Okay, so the sewer main was extended, the water main was extended. The sewer main was extended via 8-inch cleanout, which, okay, but it's done in the town roadway. I don't even know where the right of way is based on that.
Don't mean to interrupt, Matt, but the water line is there. That was not
The
extended.
water line is there? Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So and as I've written in earlier, the action could be interpreted as a type 2 pursuant to seeker because of its residential occupancy, single-family home. But it's not an approved lot. It's located on a dead-end street. A portion of what's claimed to be the road frontage is perpendicular to the center line of the town road. 66 feet of it, of the 90 feet of the claimed road frontage, is perpendicular to the center line of the town road. So, it could be viewed as a 33-foot wide lot that wraps around to the other side because prior to its split for Blackstone, it encompassed the entire width of the Bradley Drive parcel and or roadway, rear lot line to rear lot line, meaning the southern property line of the homes on the south side of Broadway and the northern property lines of the rear yards on the homes on the northern side of Bradley, if you can envision that. So again, with past experiences with similar homes that were built on dead-end streets without proper termination, there is conflict all over the place. This is a prime example of very poor planning. Having the garbage truck back down the street to the end to pick up the garbage and pull out is bad planning. Emergency vehicles driving down a dead-end road without having the ability to turn around, bad planning, as well as municipal vehicles. And again, late this afternoon, I did receive an email from our town highway superintendent, which could be forwarded to you for your review and what the comment is, but we need to get a good look at this site and let's build it up properly so the end user can be serviced correctly and the access to this street, the end of the street, can be serviced properly as well.
If I could just touch on a couple of those points. The utilities, as I mentioned, the water line was there, and yes, we did work with the Erie County Sewer District to extend the line down so there is in total compliance with their requirements and under their supervision and after their approval, so that there is sanitary sewer available. It's just a slight extension. Regarding how the lot came to be, it was a part of the much larger parcel that eventually became Blackstone Court, which had frontage on right on Harris Hill, which became the entrance to Blackstone Court, and then it kind of wrapped around all the homes that are on the north side of Bradley Drive, and it existed in its form as far as its dimensions on the right-of-way, the 96 feet. They were there, but when the balance of the project properties were subdivided off for Blackstone Court, it left this 3.3 acre parcel. And I think part of the problem is when we did that, and that was a project we did, we noted this particular parcel as an exception. We noted it as an exception, and I keep hearing that coming back too. There's a reason why that was noted as an exception, and I'll explain that. At the time that we were developing, we were actually contemplating carving this piece up into some more lots by extending Bradley. You could put, dimensionally, you could put 7 lots there. And so we talked about that and toyed with it, and the developer at the time says, you know what, I don't want to do that right now. Let's just leave that alone for future development. So we chose to call that parcel an exception because it was accepted from further subdivision of it. But in of itself, it's there. You look on the tax maps, as a part of that approval, it became a parcel. It became a lot. And it is in full compliance with the code, as I mentioned. So, we'd be more than happy to have Mr. Malcolm take a look at this and render an opinion on it. He's an expert in this type of thing, and we would abide by whatever conclusion he comes to. As it relates to the frontage, the 96 feet, as Matt's pointing out. Yes, a part of it is at the end of the right-of-way, but it's not unlike a cul-de-sac. At some point, there's one or two lots at the back of the cul-de-sac, that are on the right-of-way. This isn't any less of a lot as a lot that's on the back of a cul-de-sac. So that's, in our opinion, kind of irrelevant. But if the board chooses to have Mr. Malcolm take a look at it, we'd be more than happy to, abide by whatever conclusion he comes up with, because we're clearly not in agreement with the position that it needs to be here for site plan approval.
Well, either way, it's going to slow down the process, I would think.
One comment, a cul-de-sac has the ability to drive in and out of it for emergency vehicles.
The point is, though, this street exists. Because this lot is at the back of the street, it doesn't make any difference. If this lot was midpoint on the street and it was a vacant lot, we would come in and apply for a building permit, and we would fully expect to obtain a building permit, provided we provide, turn over everything that's needed for a building permit. This is really no different. We're not creating the street. We're not creating the lot. That parcel was there, and it exists, and it's fully compliant. As far as, would it be great to have a turnaround at the end of the street? Absolutely. Is it my client's responsibility to do that because he's choosing to finally build a home on his existing compliant lot? No, absolutely not. It's not his responsibility. Emergency vehicles, there's been some discussion of emergency vehicles. An emergency vehicle can get there for access. The question is whether they have to back out or not. They have to back out today. A garbage truck comes down there. I went by one day and I saw all the garbage totes out. I took a picture of it. Garbage trucks serve that property, that street now. There's nothing different. We're just asking to build a home on this lot that exists and is in compliance. That's where we're at. And if there's some feeling that maybe our position about it being a compliant lot is not there, we would welcome Mr. Malcolm's look at it. I think the chairman's got a great idea.
Members, any comments?
If it does become a compliant lot and you are allowed to build on it, let's say that happens, would you be open to finding a way to make a turnaround? And I'm not saying, I'm just suggesting, perhaps if a design was made such that a T-turnaround could be made and your driveway came straight off the end and then hooked around to join this property as opposed to coming to the side. Because right now, if a snowplow comes down, they just plow to the end and they back up, right? Okay. Well, they're going to put snow right where this driveway is. They're going to come down, pack it full of snow, and turn around.
Well, we're not at the, just so you know, we're not at the end.
You're on the south side of the...
Right, we're not at the end. We originally did have a plan that showed the driveway being at the end, and the then highway superintendent objected to that, so we changed it. We said, okay.
So he said no because I'd be pulling straight in with snow.
Exactly, right.
Okay, I just wanted to know what you were thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we changed that
Yeah,
on purpose.
I'm just trying to figure out, even though they've been backing out for years, one more house could be the tipping point. If there's a way to make this a driveway that could be somehow turned around for safety, backing out garbage trucks or repair trucks or whoever coming out onto Harris Hill backwards, it's scary.
I've said it before, and I have to reiterate. If this lot was midpoint on that street, I really do not think that we would be having this discussion. Just because it's the end, it brings on confusion about the lot and what's right and what's wrong. We're not extending the street. We're not asking to extend the street. It's there.
You just want the driveway.
Right, absolutely, just like everyone else that builds a home on an existing street.
And we have a large portion of wetland here that you've shown the smaller each lot as a wetland. This is one big wetland. This isn't small parcels of it. So you've got a house proposed here where if you do what you say you're going to do on this plan, you've got a very narrow side yard there that, you know, I mean, between the house and the edge. So you've got quite a bit of
In full,
behind the house.
in full compliance with the
Yeah.
setbacks.
So
Actually greater than the setbacks required, but yes,
This is what kind of a wetland? This is federal?
that's a federal wetland.
This is federal, because there's no additional buffer.
Right,
Okay, I want to make it clear so we don't make a mistake.
sure.
We do have an ERPOD. We have my favorite term, environmental resource areas, and we would be reviewing it, if we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound. So we'd be reviewing it for any effects to the wetland and/or treat areas. So we'd be looking at any changes to vegetation to see what you're doing. So your clearing would be limited.
Well, we are proposing to build the home totally out of the wetland.
Right, right.
We're not looking for any permits to build in the wetland. We've got plenty of area. Quite frankly, the lot that remains upland is larger than the minimum required lot within the R1 zoning.
It seems to drop off quite a bit there. It's
The
like-
land does drop off
It's
significantly
quite a-
to the
yeah.
northwest. It's going to be a beautiful lot, beautiful house location.
Well, let's find out.
So you want me to go through that process? then?
I think so.
All right, you good with that?
Sure. Yeah, please.
All right, I'm not sure how to go about it, but
We could table this application pending.
Review and an opinion generated.
We would just table for tonight.
all right. But how do I
You'd have to go
contact
through the attorney's
Chuck
office.
Malcolm, like go through your office?
Yeah.
You got all the information, because to send to Chuck Malcolm?
Yeah.
or-
Yep.
Okay. All right, so slow down, if it comes back not in your favor, it slowed down the process even more, but,
We're fairly confident what the outcome's going to be, but yeah, absolutely, that's fine. We understand.
okay.
We understand.
All right. All right, so I'm gonna move the table to the next meeting.
Second. Move.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay.
Thank you.
Done tonight, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're halfway through. Triad Distributing? You're the first one here.
That's right.
Sorry for
I
the
came
wait.
from down to Corning Horseheads area, so
Oh, boy.
No, been really good.
decided to make the trip back tonight too. So.
You're gonna
It's
try.
okay.
Sorry.
This is my first time here, so my name is Mark Mazer Engineering. I am based down in Horseheads, about 2 hours from here. And I am here on behalf of American Natural Gas, who owns a compressed natural gas station at Triad Distributing. They lease the land from Triad, and they own the station. And they are seeking to construct a commercial parking lot off of the compressed natural gas station. And this parking lot will support the Amazon delivery trucks at the distribution center, which is next door to Triad Distributing. These trucks are CNG trucks, and the whole point is to park these vehicles in the parking lot, have access directly to the station. When they start their day, they can fill up and go out and perform their deliveries. So, I don't know how you guys want to start here, or?
Do we have any questions? Is this going to require seeker and everything?
I'll
unless, so it does require seeker. So we would have to start the seeker process as soon as possible, and that would probably take us, I don't want to promise any date, but it's May 4th. Probably looking at least at the second meeting in June, I think.
Seeker just went out April 29th, so, yeah, we'd be looking,
Oh, letters are out already?
Yeah.
So could we do it June 1st then, or?
I mean, the
That'd be
29th
two.
is a Sunday, so I wouldn't guarantee the first, but
All right,
it
so,
does give us 30 days.
so I think we'd probably be looking at June,
I'd say the 15th,
15th.
probably.
I think it's 40 by 12. So basically, this parking lot is for their smaller sized delivery vans, or, I mean, they're not smaller sized semis. They're the typical Amazon thing we see that parks at my house every other day because my wife's ordering stuff.
Yeah, so those are
close to my house.
like Ford Transit vans, you know, that's what you're
Okay.
thinking about. These parking spaces, they will have 40-foot spaces for a 40-foot box truck, and spaces for day cabs only.
Okay,
So-
but it's a box truck, it's not a semi
Correct.
with a trailer.
Not articulating. Correct.
It will allow the tractors for the semis, but not the full trailer. When he talks about the no sleeper cabs, that's a.
Right.
Yeah, the tractor part of a tractor trailer.
That's right.
Just the tractor part.
So no trailer storage, no trailers will access this parking lot. Frankly, we wouldn't even be able to fit the parking lot in there with the turning radius of a truck, so.
So are Amazon's current fleet is all just natural gas or diesel?
Some. So early last year, they purchased 1,000 trucks. Late last year, they purchased another 1,000. The problem is, you know, as with any other vehicle, delivery is just, of these vehicles are, you know, it's very difficult. So they are, I don't want to say they're transitioning their entire fleet because, you know, they have a massive number of vehicles that they use, both gasoline and diesel. So they do have a climate pledge that they are involved in, and compressed natural gas is a part of that. They, you know, this station has been open for a while, but they are constructing at this time 22 new stations across the country, of which we're a part of at least 6 of them. So it's something that they're pushing forward.
So this appears to be I'll say a perfect neighbor for Amazon.
That's right. So their whole, currently, they have 80 truck spaces over at their distribution center, and that is just not enough. And they wanted to, just like you said, take advantage of this location by the station and, you know, stage some of their vehicles over there.
So they're gonna, so wait a minute, so Amazon's gonna buy this station?
No, they are Amazon leases. So they will lease this parking lot from American Natural Gas.
Okay.
I should preface it too, and I think on the drawings it says Beyond 6. American Natural Gas is in the process of rebranding themselves to Beyond 6. It's just their new name, so I just wanted you to be aware of that. So if you see that on the drawings, it is the same company. It's just the process that they're in.
What is the 6?
It's
It's late, it
So all
doesn't
these-
matter.
specific,
It's okay.
specific gravity of methane or
No,
something like that. or
sorry,
it's,
withdrawn.
But all of these trucks that are gonna be in this lot are to be used at the current Amazon building next door to this lot?
Yes.
So they're not parking them here, filling them with the CNG and driving them to one of their other warehouses. That's not the intent.
Right, well, the intent is there are passenger vehicle spaces too, so typical day, and they operate 24 hours a day next door to try it. The driver would come up, park their personal vehicle, get in their truck, likely fuel it up for the day, head over to the distribution center to pick up packages, and then go make deliveries. The end of the day, same thing, they would just come back, park the truck, and then pick up their personal vehicle. So the trucks would still access the distribution center, but they would also be making deliveries. For them, the trucks would be at the distribution center parked. They would have to make that exit out onto Walden and then enter into this station and then back out again. So they figured if they could stage these vehicles here, would help operations over there.
Can they build a bridge across the ditch so they have to go on Walden? No, I'm joking.
So, well, no, you know what? I mean, and I know this is an access management overlay, so, and we met with Ed and Matt, so, we pitched that to try it, and we said, listen, this is something that we have to look at. And so, there's a couple things, and you can see it better in this view here, because I know this will be something that will have to be discussed. So this is the entire site here. There's Triad, the station is over here. Here's Walden Avenue. Here's Amazon. So 2 options were looked at to get that cross traffic, so they did not have to go out onto Walden. The first one was up here on the north side, and so many of their trucks and trailers are staged along this west side of their lot. A proposed crossing would need to, come in somewhere along in this area, likely in line with this drive lane here. And again, we're talking box trucks and day cabs. We're not talking trailers at this point. So the truck would then cross. There's a fence here, along with 2 water lines, overhead wires, and would require opening of the fence and construction of that cross lane. And then one of the issues that the folks were having was that these trucks would then be driving through the employee parking lots. Now this lot actually does not link up with this side. There is a security fence through here, so that we'd have to create another access gate opening to get into that area and then go through another access gate to get to the station. I know one of the things was that Triad was concerned with Amazon, this whole area back here being secure with gates, card access. They were concerned about Amazon trucks entering into that secure area. So that was one option. The other option was coming in the backside. Honestly, it's a little bit better of an option, given that it's all commercial back here. You're not driving through employee parking areas. It's wide open. The same concerns kind of fall back here as well, though. With the truck driving through here, there are a number of loading docks back here. Concern is just a lot of movement back here, adding on cross traffic from the trucks. It's just an increase in the number of conflict points that are in the back, forklifts, other folks walking around in that area. Given that, though, if the trucks were to come across, they would loop around and they'd come up here, and then they'd hit an access gate here, and then they'd get through, come around, and then exit. Still, we had the issue with the security with Amazon trucks maneuvering through Triad's property. The other option too is avoiding this gate and cutting straight across here. There's this large ditch where there's a couple of culverts in there now, we'd have to add in a couple more culverts in there. And basically, it's an open ditch and size is an open ditch. 56-inch corrugated metal pipe, 2 of them. We would have to drop in another 2 and then cross that and then come into the station. So I'm not going to say that there are not options. You know, there are options to do that. We did present the fact that this is an overlay, and you know, I was tasked with finding ways that, you know, not necessarily ways that it couldn't work, but you know, the positives and negatives beyond it, and just presenting that to both my client and to try it. So
I ask only because I live near there, and there's probably a 4 to 6 week period where semis are backed up for a couple hundred yards on Walden, late at night, waiting to get into the Amazon site.
yeah, and that was one thing that they said when, and I mean, this lot is probably a third of the size that we started with. We did start down here and looked at seeing how much land we could take down here and how many trucks we could fit in down there, and it was a substantial number. At the end, they wanted to have the trucks closer to the station. That was just so.
I think it's a great project. The only thing that concerned me was that window when just before Christmas, when it's a nightmare there at night, and there's semis lined up, and there's even semis that park across the street in that
Eastport,
and wait for the morning, and they are not waiting on the street.
And they park down the center line, center lane of Walden.
Right. Yeah. 11, 12 o'clock at night. Yeah. And they're
Okay, anything else? Ed, any comments?
No.
I don't have your letter.
Yeah, no, I was missing the engineering report. I got it, went through it, it's fine. There are really no outside agency approvals for this one required, because there's nothing going on. You're not bringing any water or sewer in. There's no new access to DOT, there's no highways.
Matt, anything else?
Yes, a couple of things, and thank you for even considering the access management discussion that we've had there, because we have to think about if Eastport develops with their occupancies, it's well handled, we want to prevent this conflict. From a zoning perspective, this is a little bit messy. Only because I'm not sure how many members of the board were on staff here when the CNG plant was installed, or I'm sorry, pumps were installed, and when the addition was made to the original A&G facility, the primary parcel. This is on the pumps are on the parcel next door to A&G. There's 2 separate parcels. The adjoining property line creates a zoning conflict with the primary structure from the side yard setback, and it even traverses a 6,000 square foot storage building. The property line goes right through the building. And the pumps being an accessory use, they're not really a primary use to A&G. They're accessory to A&G. They're on a separate lot, so zoning is a little bit sticky. And the recommendation would be either joining or realigning the property lines so that setback requirements and all of the other parameters are going to work. So as I wrote in the comment letter, the tax parcel is identified as 4111 Walden Avenue, but all the approvals and the permitting in the form of project identification lists the property as 4155, the parcel next door. And then the shared property line does conflict with zoning requirements and bisects an existing 6,000 square foot storage building. The parcel merger is probably the cleanest way to address all of that. And then just a point of order, the special use permit was issued in 2013 for the CNG pump facility. And that's all proper. Other than that, it's a clean project. Except for the
So to sum that up, you need a parcel merger? Is that what you called it?
If the
That would be the best
owners are
way?
willing to do that, combine the parcels and create one, so we're not dealing with this property line issue.
Any comments on that?
Well, should I, and this is a sticky situation for us, should I have them reach out to you or the assessor's office directly to facilitate that? Or, because I find it hard, I understand how, you know, the project's happening, now's the time to do it if it's gonna happen.
Right.
It's hard that it's happening when I'm trying to get the project through, but I know that I don't know how the process is in Erie County, but I know that sometimes it's, you know, it's a matter of filling out the form and
My
getting
understanding
in
is
with you.
filing of a deed.
Yeah.
Right, deed, right.
Right.
I joined the two parcels at my house. It was easy.
Yep.
Splitting them is hard.
Yes, that's a process.
But joining is easy.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long. So don't
Yeah.
panic.
And I don't know, and I don't know, I don't have direct contact with Triad, so I don't know whether if they have concerns about whether assessment goes up or what happens when that happens. But, you know, however the board decides, I will then pass the information along and then have them, you know, facilitate that.
I think this is the right time to do that.
Yeah, and at the very least, offer some relief. Setback distances, you know, either gather that relief, because at some point, there's going to be a financial transaction. Somebody is going to look at the structure and ask that question.
Right.
And you know, that a property line passing right through a building, it doesn't make sense. So it's best to deal with it while this is in process. I hate to have it impede the project. Like I said, it's a clean project, it's almost great.
Will that be a condition on issuance of signing the MS4? And
To be honest with you, I mean, if you're not coming back to the 15th of June, it's fairly simple. If you can agree on what's going to be done, it can be done.
Okay, all right, sure.
As long as the attorneys can write the deeds and agree on where they want the property.
Anything else?
It's over here.
I don't want to overstep, but if the board doesn't have any more questions, I do have one for Matt.
Sure.
Item number 5, about the operation and maintenance agreement. So are you saying that there is one already for stormwater management facilities out there and you're asking just to combine them? Or is there no agreement for what's out there?
For any of that property that I'm.
Not that property, I do not believe has an operation and maintenance agreement for facilities.
So you're asking then, as part of this project, then to add in that, so that it is all then on the deed?
Yeah, we're trying to come into compliance with the currently draft form of the current draft of the 15 form of speed.
Yep.
So we're just trying to, catch as many of this.
Oh, yeah. No,
as we can.
The town has a standard agreement that they would issue to you with exhibits.
Sure, okay.
So, I mean.
No, that's.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're pretty comfortable with the site plan doesn't change, then I can get the exhibits to the attorney's office.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, then we can move to table. All right, so I'll make a motion to table. So when you come back on hopefully June 15th, I would definitely check before you make the drive.
I was born and raised here, so I just come back home.
We could do I'm assuming we could do seeker that night, and then also site plan recommendation. So I'll move to table to a future meeting, hopefully June 15th. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a safe trip.
Did anybody on the board not get a short environmental assessment form for this? I got 2.
This one?
Pass it down, please.
We have one more item on the agenda. It's the amendment. We've been asked to review the amendment to the code involving extension of projects. It looks to me like this amendment is just saying that if the 2-year window after approval lapses, then to receive an extension, it would first need to come back to the planning board.
The way I read it.
Am I correct? Emily, Matt? Ed?
Yeah, that's
Dave?
correct.
So, hopefully you've had a chance to read the actual amendment. Any comments before we move on? So, just to check, right now there was nothing in place, was it, or just nothing in place for an extension?
There's a specific citation in the code that the town board can extend an approval that has expired. The process really is not there. I had a comment letter that I'd like to send to.
Yeah.
Just asking those policy questions. How does the applicant make that application? I'm not sure how the former administrations used to address these, if they were even addressed. But should the town be requested that instead of codifying, they can always make a recommendation to either input from the planning board. They can refer to the planning board prior to them making that decision. But there's really no avenue or conduit or policy to direct an applicant to do that.
So it cleans up the process.
It cleans the process up, and I think a little further discussion helps the process run more efficiently.
In order to get the extension, they would apply for an extension, it would come to us first.
That's what the code is applying, the proposed amendment.
Right. And then, rather than going to the board, the town board, they'll kick it back to us, and we kick it back to them, eliminate one step.
And, the current code for site plan applications is that process exactly. The application is made in the town clerk's office, the town board receives it, sends it to the planning board for its review process, and the recommendation. So we've been bouncing around talking to everybody that wants to listen to us, trying to help streamline and make the process a little more efficient. So it's the easiest. And, you know my woes, so
Well, I'm going to make I'll make the motion to recommend approval of the amendment to the code involving extensions of projects.
I'll second.
All right, on the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Does that have to do with a public hearing or anything at the town board?
town coaching does it.
I think you heard it said last meeting. Well, I think
Ed, did you wanted to say something about?
I just wanted to bring up a issue from Monday night's town meeting that I didn't know how to address. There was a negative recommendation on the agenda for the rezone at
Harris Hill
in Worley, that Tudor English place. The planning board had recommended neg deck, and they also recommended the rezone. So there were two items on the agenda this past Monday. One was the neg deck, and the next one was the rezone. The neg deck did not pass. It was a 2-2 vote. So the next item was withdrawn because you couldn't do anything with it. I can tell you, doing this for 35 years, that's the first that's ever happened. I didn't know, they didn't pause deck it, they just didn't pass the neg deck. So I reached out to Chuck Malcolm, had a conversation with him, and I said, where do we go here? His recommendation is, and I'll talk to Lisa when she's back, is we will, the negative deck resolution thing will create a positive declaration resolution. Both will be on the board meeting for the next meeting. And the board's going to have to vote on one, and if they vote down the neg deck, then the positive deck has to vote on. I mean, there is no deck. It's either a negative or a positive.
Could it still be another 2-2 tie going both ways?
Well, the reason it was 2-2 is Adam was absent, but.
Right, obviously
yeah.
somebody wasn't there.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have been 3-2 voted down, the neg deck, and we still be in the same position.
Why would they do that?
Councilman Larry, correct me if I'm wrong on that, man. He is concerned with traffic from the apartments that would be created. Whatever that rezone went through, because of the Harris Hill traffic issues. I think somebody's trying to explain to him that it would be the lesser.
It is less traffic.
It's less traffic, but I don't think he understood that.
He was thinking it was like a new development that.
Well, I think he understood it was I think he just has the misconception that the apartments are going to create more traffic than what's already.
You know, it's commercial. I mean, it's commercial retail space now, what it could be. You know, I mean, that's what it's owned.
Okay, so the concern was traffic.
Yeah. So if there's a pause deck, the scoping document's going to have one item. Traffic.
Traffic.
But still, if it's a pause deck, then there's a process we have to go through.
Okay.
Understood.
Matt, anything else? Okay. 15 seconds.
Well, so do we get some resolution from the board about hiring more people for your office?
Working on it, praying for it, we'll see where it goes.
For that project?
Is that what you?
There were some small.
Excuse me?
Is that what you looked at?
No, okay.
Is that what I did?
Is that what you looked at? Wow.
No, I want to respect your time. There will always be items of discussion. A training came out of the summit by the county that's being sponsored. I would highly recommend this attendance be made if at all possible. But lastly, the comp plan is sunsetting. Our last implementation meeting was canceled. We got to start thinking, updating the comp plan. It doesn't have to be as comprehensive as the last one. Start thinking about how to revisit this comp plan and tweak it for the next 3 to 5 year cycle.
All right, thank you. I'll move to adjourn. Second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried.
Want to spend the night here? Seems like we already have. I think this is a record. I think we set a record.
I told my wife when I came today, I think we're going to set a record.
We had a huge agenda, and this was very long. But I didn't feel skimping that
We were here for one of those public hearings.
No.
We had a joint meeting.
Sorry. I'm going to stay right here until you get where you need to be.
All right. I'll see you.
All right, go count trucks. Oh, wait, it's not Christmas.
Good night, see you, Tony.
Hey, Tom.